Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
But in the kingdom, we're going to have that power like the angels, but we're going to be what you call extraterrestrial. In other words, we're not going to be regular terrestrial like we are right now. Because what happened is, in the ancient world, we had that power. We had that power when we were on a level like gods. But what happened is, the Most High took that power from us. Over the generations and over the years, the Lord took that power from us. But we're going to get that back. We're going to get that power back coming into the kingdom.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
When we think about the kingdom, most brothers think of like the small, minute terms. But the vastness of the kingdom, the greatness of the kingdom, dealing with the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the information alone that we're going to receive when we get to the kingdom, that's on a whole nother level. Never mind the riches and the lands and the women and the children, and to be in your chariot, sipping some yayan, on your chalice, your gold chalice with all them rubies and emeralds and sapphires and the different precious stones, going to places.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
No one, no matter how vivid a brother's imagination is, there's nothing in comparison to what's coming. You can't even imagine. You can't even paint it a picture or write it to words or give an explanation that even comes close to the majesty that's coming. We are destined for greatness in the new righteous kingdom.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
The brother with the most vivid imagination out there can't imagine what the kingdom of heaven has in store, what it's going to be like. What we're basing the kingdom of heaven as far as riches and having a good time and things of that nature is just based off of our experiences in this world and what we think having a good time is and living the life is.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. There are pleasures forevermore at thy right hand. So the kingdom that's coming is going to be set up and established in righteousness. The Israelites are going to be changed. Thy people shall be all righteous. Not one Israelite is going to be lost, because the promise that the Most High made to Abraham was to all that seed. And the seed of the promise went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Every seed that came out of Jacob is a part of the ones that are going to receive the benefits that the Most High promised to bless Abraham.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
The transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh.
According to the Holy Scriptures, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, is set to bring immortality to the nation of Israel, the elect, via establishing the tabernacle of David, as we talk about the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He is coming to take down this current world ruled by Esau, Edom, and establish a righteous kingdom, which is synonymous with the throne of David. That's scriptural, which is a government that's going to run this world in righteousness.
Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful that got out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right. And what I want to go into today, this morning news and prophecy, is pride has deceived thee. And this begins with Esau Edom. Okay, because the devil, whom the Lord has put in power, has become proud within his rulership, and this is what these devils always do. Matter of fact, you can start off with a little history. When you go here to the book of let's see, you go to First Maccabees, okay, because these devils, the Lord would allow them to come in power, by the sword, okay, and the devil, he's been maintaining his empire with the sword, okay, and he's become proud, to the point that he thought, all right, he was untouchable, okay, but the Lord began to set up a resistance to the devil, first with the prophets in the spirit, and now you're starting to see these other nations, all right, begin to get busy with Esau, man. Okay, so this devil, all right, has been, had this prosperity and wickedness, and he's been able to dominate with the sword, all right, his enchantments, his psyops, okay, and he's been winning, okay, but this devil, all right, doesn't understand that it was only for a short time. The Lord gave him a short time, all right, to rule and dominate with the sword, okay, to be able to deceive with enchantments. And see now, all right, the devil is fizzling out. The Lord got the devil fizzling out, okay, and pride has deceived him to where he thinks that he's a god. To Esau, he thinks that he's unlimited. Okay, you had Trump say we can go to war forever. Okay, so when you go, let's go here to First Maccabees 1. All right, so what we're seeing now is Esau's pride being met against prophecy, man. Okay, and his pride is taking a loss. Okay, and it only gets worse. All right, so this is First Maccabees 1:1. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, okay, which is modern day Cyprus, all right, that island Cyprus, Shittim, and it says has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead first over Greece. Okay, so through Alexander, okay, the Greeks became a superpower. All right, and Alexander, you can trace his line back to Amalekites, man, Amalek. Okay, it says, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings, okay, of the earth. And just like Esau, that was his story, okay, during the Renaissance. Okay, this man began to take down. He took down the Byzantine Empire, which was Jake. He took down the Moors. Okay, he conquered the Chinese, the Moabites. Okay, you know, he'll conquer these African nations. Okay, Central, North, South America. Okay, Canada. You see, so these Edomites, through European colonization, and America is a offshoot of British colonization. Okay, America sprung to be a superpower within its own right, a spinoff of the British Empire. Okay, but these devils in the Renaissance, they've been able to win many strongholds. Okay, and to slay the kings of the earth, the rulers of these other nations, man. Okay, to topple these governments and colonize. All right, set up puppets. Okay, so the devil, he's been on the tear. All right, since the Renaissance until now, the devil has been on the tear, man, just conquering, taking, all right, plundering. Okay, setting up, his, puppet leaders all throughout the earth on his behalf. So this devil, all right, has been dominating with this sword for so long. Okay, that he thought he was in God mode. Okay, he thought that he's able to go toe to toe with the Most High. The scripture calls this man the God of this world, the God of this age. Okay, but this devil has limitations. You see, this devil has many limitations. That's one thing that the Lord is showing us, that this devil has limitations, man. Because the way this devil was putting on, you'll think that he had no limitations, man. It was nothing that he couldn't do. Okay, but what the Lord is showing, this is a mere man whom the Lord put in power, man. Okay, and it says, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, in so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Okay, he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. You see, so this prideful spirit, that's within Esau, that's just how he is, man. Okay, we've seen this during the Greeks, proud. The Romans became proud. Okay, and they always get proud to the point to where they think they're untouchable, they're unstoppable, man. Okay, and the Lord killed, he took that nigga out in his youth, Alexander, but this nigga wasn't gonna stop. Okay, he was just gonna keep going, but he had conquered what the Lord intended for him to conquer. Okay, in that short time. All right, and then the Lord took him out, man, because that nigga was not gonna stop. He can never be satisfied. Okay, and this great pride, this great pump that Esau has, okay, it's finna be diminished, man. It's finna be degraded right before our eyes, man. This is what we're seeing. Okay, so let's go back to here. Let's get this in the book of Proverbs. Okay, Proverbs 16 and 18. Pride goes before destruction, and the haughty spirit before a fall. And what we're seeing now is Esau. He's been in his peak pride. You know how proudful that is to try to pull off this new world order. You know how arrogant that is to try to do that, to try to defy, all right, the Most High, to try to cancel out his son, the kingdom promised to Yahushua. Okay, to try to cancel that out with technology. Okay, and posture yourself as if you're ready to take on, okay, Yahushua when he returns, talking about a space force. Okay, you know what type of pride that is, man? Type of arrogance that is. Okay, to even posture yourself like that. All right, and this is what this devil has done. But what we're seeing now, this devil is being broken down, man. All right, and their pride is going to be broken because it only gets worse for Esau. Okay, it only gets worse for this devil, man. You see, let's go here to the book of Psalms, chapter 10. Okay. Let's go to Psalms 10 and 2. This is the AMP. It says, in pride and in arrogance, the wicked, this is the AMP, highly pursue and persecute the afflicted. Okay, and this man loves to bully, okay, the weak. You know, he loves to bully the weak. You see? And it began with us, the Lord, put us in a weakened state for a punishment, man. But what does this devil do? He takes it too far. The Lord gave us into his hand, but this devil, he takes it too far. He takes everything too far, man. Okay, and the devil, he loves, all right, to bully on the weak, man. Okay, airstrikes on civilians. Okay, all this military force, for civilians. Okay, especially going to these small hats, man. You see, and what we're seeing now, these small hats are getting pummeled, all right, and they're trying to tap out, all right, but the Lord, hey, they done awaken that wild boar. These small hats want to tap out. Okay, ain't no tapping out, man. Hey, the Lord is setting judgment in the earth, man. Okay, all this pride that's been shown in the earth, man, now is being met with judgment. See, pride is being met with judgment now. You see, people are used to being proud and glorified, and even on a small level. Okay, because you Americans are proud. You American people have been proud for a long time. Okay, you small hats, the population over there, you small hats, you have been proud. Okay, you were cheering on, all right, the your military, the IDF, destroying and terrorizing their region. Okay, you American people, you was cheerleading your military for terrorizing these other nations. Okay, so all pride is being addressed from, all right, the top, dealing with the elites, all the way down to the bottom, man, to the common man. Okay, it said, let them be caught in the plots which they have devised. See, these devil has all these plots and schemes, but they entangle themselves, man. The Lord has allowed these devil to become entangled with these plots. They're caught up. You see? These niggas in the background trying to play both sides and being treacherous. And see, now it's backfiring on him. He got too much going on in wickedness, man. Okay? So now he's been caught in the things that he's devising, man. Okay? This war is backfiring on him. Okay? When he implements the MOTB, all right, that's going to backfire on him, man, because it's going to open the door for the war to go nuclear, man. Everything that this devil is doing is starting to backfire on this man. Okay? For the wicked boasts and sings the praises of his heart's desire. He's always talking about what he got next and this and digital, you got to be digital. If you're not digital by this, if you don't merge with machines, you won't be able to keep up. Okay? Agenda 2030, these sustainable goals. And, he's just always boasting his heart's desire, what he got coming next. Okay? As if he can't be stopped. He speaks with this guarantee, like he's guaranteed to bring his heart's desire to pass, man. So he's always boasting and having these counsels and these speeches about what he's about to do. Okay, it says, and the greedy man curses and spurns and even despises the Lord. Okay, this is an anti-Messiah system. Okay, and this new world order is going to be built on anti-Messiah principles, man. Okay, so this is the man that knoweth not the Most High. Okay, Esau, he's not built to have a reverence for the Most High, man. Okay, and the Most High is beginning to address this nigga about that, man, about this pride, about this blaspheming, about all this disrespect. The Lord's starting to get active with this nigga, man. Okay, and this is what we seen, and it began with the Lord awakening the prophets, man. Okay, which began to tear down, okay, his spiritual foundation. You see, wickedness in high places. See, these things are being combated with truth now. Okay, and the devil is having a hard time moving forward with this new world order agenda, man. Okay, it says the wicked in the haughtiness of his face and pride will not seek nor inquire for him, the Most High. It said all his thoughts are there is no Most High, so there is no accountability or punishment, man. And that's how this devil been moving in the earth for a long time, man. So there is no accountability or punishment, man. Okay, he said what Trump said. I don't need international law. My morals, that's what govern me. My own morals govern me. Okay, so these devils, because they've been so dominant with the sword, dominant in the economy, okay, they've been boasting, man, to the point that they say, well, look, there is no power, because I'm not being judged for anything I'm doing. There is no power. That's the mindset that they have. I'm above judgment of the Most High. So there is no accountability or punishment, man. Okay, and that's why you see these devils do what they do. And for the longest, they've been having immunity. They've been able to just, destroy nations, destroy economies, remove leaders, kill leaders. See, now they're being held accountable. Okay, now this devil is being held accountable. Okay, now his actions are coming with a price. You see, now there's a price to pay, and it's only going to increase. It began with Iran, but it's going to end with Yahweh Shai and the nuclear missiles, man. It just that Iran is just the beginning of this devil being held accountable, man. Okay, and it's going to continue into the judgment, the ultimate judgment of Yahweh Shai and the nukes. Okay, so this devil can't just keep going on doing what he does in the earth, man. He just airstrike what he want, kill whatever leader he want, replace whatever leader he want, put sanctions on you, turn you to a third world country, don't care. Okay, come and steal the resources. Okay, hire the locals for pennies, destroy the environment of the local. Okay, so forth and so on, man, with no accountability. Okay, but see, the time of no accountability is over with, man. You see, it says his ways prosper at all times. Yes, the devil's been able to prosper. Okay, the devil's been able to prosper, man, in wickedness, man. You see, the things that's coming out, this is what the devil been doing. Now, even the whole thing with Maduro, he's been doing that in Central South America, man. He's done many presidents and leaders like that. Made them disappear, unalive them, replaced them. He done did plenty of leaders like that, man. Okay, now he's just center stage. The Lord has a spotlight on this nigga, man. But he's been prospering in wickedness, man. Okay, it says your judgment, Lord, are on high, out of his sight, so he never thinks about them, man. Okay, but the Lord been just running up a tab on this nigga, man. See, Esau got a hell of a tab. See, Esau thought that, he was prospering his wickedness. That means that he was above judgment. No, the Lord been allowing you to run up a tab. You see, and Esau, he doesn't have the spiritual awareness to know, okay, that he's doing too much. All right, and the Lord has allowed this man to run up his tab, and judgment is gonna hit in the moment. Okay, and we're starting to see judgment trickle in on this devil, man. It says, as for all his enemy, he sneers at them. Okay, and he looks at anyone that doesn't have the military might that he has. Okay, it's nothing. If you don't have the military might that I have, okay, then you're nothing to me. That's how Esau look at everyone. You're a joke. You're nothing. If you can't match my military might, if you can't match my sword, you're nothing. Okay, but what the Lord is showing this nigga, look, that sword limited. Okay, and I can raise anybody up to get busy with your ass, man. Okay. Verse 6, it says, he says to himself, I will not be moved, for throughout all generations I will not be in adversity, for nothing bad will happen to me. And this been these devils' mind, these small hats. Okay, these small hats has been in the land. They've been able to be in the land and chill. They've been kicking them small hats. They've been kicking it while the IDF has been terrorizing that whole region. Okay, but the small hat population, they've been over there chilling, kicking, and getting all this aid from America. Okay, I think they had free health care, and they were chilling. Okay, so now that they're under fire, okay, they're having these uproars over there in Israel, but nah, man. Okay, nah, it don't work like that. Okay, you can't terrorize the earth. Okay, forever. All right, and then when you start getting touched, then now we need to stop. Now you want a ceasefire. When the small hats was up, when nobody talking about a ceasefire, when America was dominating the earth, when nobody talking about a ceasefire. Okay, now everybody want to talk about a ceasefire. Everybody want to be a specialist in ceasefire and agreements and now everybody, okay, is a statesman now. Nah, man, don't work like that. Okay, and it only gets worse. So let's go here. I got this first video I want to get into. These small hats, man. And let's go here. So let's play this. Small hat starting to catch hell, man. Okay, and I woke up that boy. All right, that wild boy. Okay, I ran, and now they starting to catch hell.
This is a special report. The situation in occupied Palestine has reached a fever pitch, and what we are witnessing on the streets of Tel Aviv is nothing short of a complete societal collapse masked as a protest. All hell breaks loose is not just a turn of phrase this today. It is the literal reality as anti-war Israeli protesters, in numbers we haven't seen in decades, are clashing with police and gradually taking over major thoroughfares in Tel Aviv.
Of protesters have taken to the streets of Tel Aviv.
But here is the kicker that exposes the raw, ugly hypocrisy of the settler colonial project. These protests are happening despite, or perhaps because of, the relentless and precise Iranian missile strikes that are sending the regime's war cabinet running for bunkers. We are now deep into what Iran's Revolutionary Guard has designated the 54th wave of Operation True Promise 4, and the battlefield geometry has shifted from the borderlands to the very heart of Israel's civilian infrastructure. While the Western media wants you to focus on the unrest, let's be very clear about what triggered this mass upheaval. Early this morning, Iran's military launched a coordinated and devastating strike using a combination of hypersonic Fatah missiles and destructive drones, targeting two specific and highly sensitive entities deep inside the occupied territories. The headquarters of the Lahav 433 Special Police Unit, often described as the Israeli FBI, and the Gilat Defense Satellite Communications Center. This wasn't random rocketry. This was a surgical decapitation of Israel's command and control architecture. Following up on earlier waves that destroyed infrastructure of the Northern Command and U.S. force assembly points, Iran has now made it clear that no Shin Bet office and no police station is safe. The sirens aren't just blaring every hour anymore. In some areas of Tel Aviv and Holon, the alerts are virtually continuous, making life utterly unbearable.
There's a contract most retail traders have never heard of. It's called XSP.
Shelters
And you see,
that were supposed to be safe are either non-existent. Tel Aviv and Holon, the alerts are virtual.
so yeah, you see, Iran is playing the psyops with them, man. Because if you're a citizen and all you're hearing are these alarms, okay, of bombs going off, okay, of incoming missile, incoming waves of strikes, you're hearing this all day. It went from just hearing it every night, and then think of the psychology of every night. You know that there's an incoming wave of ballistic missiles, and you're a citizen. You know, think about that every night. You know, them sirens going off, and there's another wave coming, And you got to think about that all day. It's another wave coming. Okay? So Iran is doing psychology, which these devils, all right, that was one of their main tools, okay, within this kingdom is what? Their psychology, man. Okay? You know, they play psychology, they play psych, they do a lot of psyops, man. Now psyops is being ran on the civilians of Tel Aviv. Okay? Because now it went from just having them every night to now it's all day. Even if it's just a small strike package, the fact that something coming in most of the day. Okay? Because it's day 16 of the war, and Iran is on its 55th wave. Okay? So it's a psychological game to these people as well, man. It's becoming a hell. It's becoming a living hell. Okay? This is their life now. You see? You don't just get to kill who you want, do what you see. Now accountability is being had. Okay, all this doing what you want, killing who you want, bombing, and just, you know, you bomb the shit out of everybody else, make their life miserable, but then you come home and kick it. Nah, man. Okay? Them days over with, man. And it only gets worse. Okay? Because when your Howard shot comes, hey, this is just the appetizer, man. All right? And it's gonna build up to their entree, your Howard shot. Okay?
Actually continuous, making life utterly unbearable. Shelters that were supposed to be safe are either non-existent or locked, and the quality of life has deteriorated to a point where settlers are realizing that their government's adventurism, the cheering for the assassination of a foreign religious leader in Tehran, has brought the war to their breakfast tables. If you are just joining us and believe in honest, uncensored journalism that tells you the truth about this resistance, please hit that like button and share this broadcast. Drop a comment, just a simple dot if you have to help break the algorithm and let others know what is really happening in the occupied lands. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel immediately. We are one of the few outlets left that refuses to parrot the Pentagon and Tel Aviv's talking points. Now, let's move to the rest of this developing story, because the scene at Ben Gurion Airport over the last 48 hours tells you everything you need to know about the moral bankruptcy of these protesters. As the Iranian strikes intensified, specifically targeting the airport's runways and air defenses to prevent military resupply, a mad rush of settlers flooded the terminals. They were desperate to flee to their second countries in Europe and America, clutching passports and crying about the trauma of the missiles. But here is where the universe delivered a dose of poetic justice. The airport was shut down. It remains closed for landings and takeoffs. Major carriers like Air France, Delta, and Ryanair have suspended flights indefinitely, and the airspace is a no-go zone. These settlers, who just weeks ago were cheering Netanyahu's promise to destroy Iran and celebrating the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as if it were a soccer match, are now trapped. They are trapped in a country their government turned into a battlefield. So now that they can't run, they are forced to protest. But let's not mince words here. These are not peace activists in the moral sense of the word. These are fair-weather patriots. They stood up at the wrong time. Where were these crowds when the regime was decimating Gaza? Where were the tears when Iranian neighborhoods were being flattened by Israeli bunker busters? They were silent. They were cheering. They were enjoying the barbecues while watching the fireworks over Tehran on their screens. But now that the resistance has brought the fireworks to their backyards, now that Iranian hypersonic missiles are evading the Iron Dome and punching holes in their sense of security, they are suddenly desperate for a ceasefire. Watch some of the scenes from Tel Aviv.
Hello, I'm Larry, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining.
This is the reality check they never saw coming. Iran has made it abundantly clear through statements from the Revolutionary Guard and the new supreme leader that this operation, True Promise 4, is designed to permanently deter the occupation from ever again attacking Iranian sovereignty or assassinating its leaders. This isn't about retaliation anymore. It's about changing the strategic calculus. Iran is determined to show that any aggression will be met with a level of destruction that makes the occupation untenable. The 45th, 46th, and now the 54th waves are proof that Tehran has the stamina for a long war, while the settlers in Tel Aviv are proving they do not have the stomach for it. As the sirens blur across the occupied lands every hour, the cracks in the Israeli home front are widening into chasms. In Holon, vehicles are still burning from the shrapnel of intercepted missiles, and the injured are flooding hospitals, 108 in just the last 24 hours, with many sufferings from panic and trauma while rushing to unsafe shelters. The David Sling and Arrow systems are intercepting, sure, but the volume of launches from Iran, coordinated with Hezbollah and other Axis forces, is simply overwhelming. The narrative that Israel can fight a multi-front war indefinitely is dying in real time. And what makes this particularly bitter for the regime is the source of the pressure. These aren't just Arab citizens protesting. These are the privileged classes of Tel Aviv, the very people who form the backbone of the startup nation and the political elite. They are now chanting against Netanyahu, against the settler agenda, not because they've found a conscience about Palestinian or Iranian blood, but because their stock portfolios are crashing and their bomb shelters are leaking. They are holding up signs demanding an end to the war. But let's call it what it is. They are begging for mercy from a force they sought to destroy. And while the world's cameras are on Tel Aviv, we must also look at the wider picture of barbarism that this regime engages in when it thinks no one is watching. Under the cover of these strikes and the distraction of the protests, settler violence in the West Bank has surged to genocidal levels. Since the start of this month alone, 6 Palestinians have been shot dead by masked settlers in places like Abu Falah. These armed squads are using the cover of the war with Iran to accelerate ethnic cleansing, torching olive groves and displacing families. The European Union issued a weak statement calling it unacceptable. But the reality is that this is state-sponsored terrorism. While the settlers in Tel Aviv protest for their comfort, their ideological cousins in the West Bank are burning villages. That is the contradiction of the Zionist project. It cannot survive without war, and war is now consuming it. The situation is so dire that even the usually hawkish Israeli media is starting to hint at the unthinkable. The government's stated goal of toppling the Iranian government or assassinating the new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is a fantasy. Netanyahu admitted in a press briefing that he cannot guarantee the regime will fall, yet he continues to drag the region into chaos. Meanwhile, Trump, from his safe distance across the Atlantic, boasts about destroying the Iranian Navy, but on the ground, U.S. bases like Al-Dhafra and Erbil are being pummeled by Iranian missiles after warnings were issued for personnel to evacuate. The Americans are just as trapped in this escalation as the Israelis are. So, as we watch these scenes of chaos in Tel Aviv, remember the context. These are the same people who, had Iran's retaliation failed, would be celebrating the death of more Iranian civilians right now. They are not protesting because war is wrong. They are protesting because they are losing. And Iran has made it clear. There will be no surrender until there is a permanent deterrence. The equation has changed. The True Promise operations have proven that the occupation is no longer a safe haven. For the settlers trapped at Ben Gurion, staring at empty departure boards, and for those huddled in stairwells as the ground shakes, the message is finally sinking in. You cannot have peace if you only value the lives that look like you. You reap what you sow, and in the occupied lands today, the harvest is fire. Subscribe and stay with us as this story continues to develop.
Yeah, man. So these devils, all right, because if they was over there just dominating Iran and Iran didn't have the ability, all right, to strike back, these devils would be having mass celebrations, man. Okay, but now, all right, they're getting their teeth kicked in. All right, now they want to stop the war. Now war is wrong. Okay, when it don't work in their favor, when it don't benefit them, man. Nah, man, that's their pride. Their pride being addressed, man. All right, and that false sense of invincibility has been exposed. Okay, that false sense of invincibility has been exposed, man. Okay, and the Lord God Iran getting out on their ass, man. It only get worse. Okay, it only gets worse from there. Okay, and he said, "What the small hats? Okay, they are. America is right there with them. See, because the world is bagging away from the small hats in America. America and the small hats are being isolated for destruction, man. Okay, because who's going to get the worst end of this third world war? All right, it's going to be the small hats, and the absolute worst end is going to be America. Okay, but that state of Israel is going to be completely cleared out, man, through war. This is just the beginning. Okay, this is just the beginning of the Lord beginning to reach out and touch their pride of Esau, man. Okay, matter of fact, let's get there real quick. Yep, brother got there. We get there too. I got another video, but let's go here real quick to the book of Isaiah, chapter 2. All right, in verse 11. All right, in the AMP, this is it says the proud look of man will be degraded. Okay, and the man that is speaking of is Esau, man, beginning with Esau. Okay, he's at the top of the list when it comes to pride. Okay, but now that pride is being degraded, and the arrogance of men will be humbled, and the Lord alone, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, will be exalted in that day, man. Okay, so the Lord is finna eradicate all pride out the earth, man, from the elites. Okay, down to the common people. Okay, all this pride and this boasting is finna be, all right, eradicated from the earth. Okay, and it's gonna be through harsh judgment, man. Okay, verse 12 says, "For the Lord of hosts will have a day of reckoning, man, a time of reckoning against all who are proud and arrogant." Okay, so we're coming into a day of reckoning. That main day of reckoning is Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, those nukes in Yahweh Shai, it's that day of reckoning, man. That in that one day, in that 1 hour, America gonna be a desert, and Yahweh Shai, he's gonna destroy the militaries of the earth, man. All of them, man. It's gonna be a day of reckoning for all these nations, man. Okay, and you Edomites are gonna be reduced to nothing in the earth, man. Because you're gonna be the lowest of slaves in the kingdom. Okay, all their pride, it's 1,000 years that the Lord just gonna constantly humble their pride, man, and then do away with you, man. Okay, it says against all who are proud, that they may be degraded. Okay, and you get this word, degraded. Okay, let's go here real quick. You should get this word degraded, and this is what we're seeing happening real time. All right, degraded, it says treated or regarded with contempt or disrespect. You see, because Esau, the earth has been given into his hand, and he's been ruling, all right, over these heathens as a tyrant, man. He's been ruling over the world as a tyrant. Okay, it was straight tyranny, man. With the Isaiah, was it 14:6? If a brother want to post that, Isaiah 14:6, in the NLT, Bible Shah. Okay, it says treated or regarded with contempt or disrespect. Okay, it says reduce in quality or inferior. See now, okay, the Lord has it to where these nations have Esau in contempt, man. They're not cowering down to their sword, man, because these nations have nothing to lose. Okay, beginning with Iran, they're not cowering to their sword. Okay, they coming directly at this man, because you go into a wild boar. All right, let me look it up real quick. Is a wild boar aggressive when cornered? All right, is a wild boar aggressive when it's cornered? All right, so go here, wild boar. It says, yes, a wild boar is extremely dangerous and aggressive when cornered. Okay, and for the longest, the devil just been pressing on Iran, that wild boar, killing this leader, killing this general, killing these scientists, doing this, doing that, blowing up, and like, okay. So they were cornered. And it says injured. And that last injury when they killed, Saeed Khamenei, the last Ayatollah. Okay, or protecting this young, which is like Iran protecting its people. Okay, it says they become extremely dangerous and aggressive. They are known to charge when feeling threatened, using their sharp tusks. In this sense, these tusks are these missiles to inflict serious injury. When cornered, they may circle, charge, and bite rather than flee. Okay, that's why the scripture called Iran is wild boar. Okay, it says key behaviors and safety information. It says charging behavior. It says a cornered boar will charge short distances and make attacks relentlessly. You see that? A cornered boar will charge short distances and make attacks relentlessly, man. Okay, and they're striking as we speak, relentlessly since February 28th. Okay, it's the middle of the month, man. You see, and these small heads, they not built for this, man. Them cowards, all right, them feeble ass Amalekites over there, they not built for this, man. Okay, it's easy to play tough when the war going one way, when you're the only one that's striking, but now they're just coming back, and it's coming back relentlessly, man. Okay. And they don't awaken that wild boy, man. It's going bad for him, man. Okay, so let's load this video, then get a few out the comment boy you brothers got. Okay. Yep. America's being isolated. America's being exposed. All right, because America America has been the most powerful military the earth has seen. Okay, but what it has done, it put more emphasis on reputation than putting emphasis on maintaining their power and actually winning wars. Okay, so a lot of things, and he's going to go into it. You see, America been doing a lot of bluffing and selling wolf tickets, making promises that's impossible for them to keep, but just based off their reputation. Okay, and which brother can get that as well. All right, but let's go here. This brother Amar Kabal. All right, Isaiah 14:6 in the NLT. It says, "You struck the people with endless blows of rage," and this is speaking of Babylon, "and held the nations in your angry grip with unrelenting tyranny," man. Okay, so now we're seeing an uprising against the tyrants of the earth, man. These devils. Okay. Shall not all these take up a parable? This is what we're seeing happening, man. Okay. So this time of these one-sided conflicts where these devils are just dominating with the sword, that's over now. Especially now as the Lord has exposed Esau, okay, all right, is not being as mighty as he's been putting on. Okay, because this devil, he exaggerates a lot of things, man. He's mighty, but then he exaggerates as well, as if he's untouchable. Okay. See, these nations have been preparing their militaries just to fight against America, man. Not head up, all right, but to weaken American strengths. And we're seeing that happening, man. Okay, Iran is giving American Air Force and Navy the blues. Okay, Iran doesn't have a stronger Navy, it doesn't have a stronger Air Force, but it has a fighting style that neutralizes American Navy an American Air Force, man. And right, and they're setting the blueprint of how to deal with the horde, man. Okay, and these nations are sitting back taking notes. And when these nations pile into this war, they're gonna pile on the side of Iran and Russia, and they're gonna take down the horde. And the small hat's gonna be eradicated. Okay? And the Palestinians, everyone that's in our land gonna be eradicated out of there through war, man. Okay, but this devil has been ruling with this unrelenting tyranny, man. Okay, let's go here. The brother got this, Joshua, my tribe of Judah. Psalm 7:15 says he made a pit and digged it and is falling into the ditch which he made. Okay, he made a pit and digged it and is falling into the ditch which he made, man. So this man has fallen into a ditch which he made. Okay, he made this mess, constant war, constant conflict, all this weaponry that's out there. He made this mess, man. Okay, bullying and, you know, being a tyrant. Okay, he made this mess that he made his own pit. He digged his own ditch, man. Now he's falling in that ditch, man. Okay, verse 16 says his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come upon his own pate, man. So all that violence that this man has done, okay, now it's getting ready to come back to him. Okay, now the Lord got it, everything coming full circle, man. Okay, he's been known, as the scripture called him, was the violent man. Continue are they gathered together for war. But see, now war is not working in his favor anymore. There was a time when he would be able to capitalize off war, but now war is not working in his favor. Okay, he got one more, all right, stunt to pull, and that's the MOTB. Okay, so this war, which is collapsing the economy, which that was the intent for the elites. They wanted the economy collapse so they could bring in this new system. Okay, but it's gonna work against them, because once they get to a certain point where this MOTB is mandatory, okay, you can count the days on this nigga, man. Once he do that, man. Okay, so let's play this. All right, because America is being isolated, and see, the world is seeing that it's always been about the small hats. Everything is about the small hats. So all these new world order promises, you know, that Amalek and America is making to these nations, but then they see when it really get down to it, only thing that matter is these small hats, man. Okay, and that's what these nations are stepping back, because these nations are down with the new world order, but these latest developments is having these nations look at America and small hats were like, well, goddamn. Okay, because the Lord finna have all these nations with nuclear capability get rid of America, man. Okay, and these small hats gonna be obliterated in the mix. You see, but let's play this, and then we'll get some more precept. And if a brother could get that in Isaiah 49 and 16 in the NLT, Isaiah 49 and 16 in the NLT, Baba Kashaf.
So we're betraying our South Korean allies. We're betraying our Japanese allies. We're betraying our Taiwanese allies, because we've convinced Taiwan that we have a ballistic missile shield to protect them from everything. And we're betraying our Gulf Arab allies, all for Israel.
This is from antiwar.com. It says the U.S. is moving parts of its THAAD missile defense system from South Korea to the Middle East. It says that the subheadline is South Korea's president said he was against the move, but could not fully oppose it. So can you tell me what that is about and what is the ramifications of that?
Sure. Well, the THAAD is our upper tier anti-missile system for tactical defense. We put the THAAD in South Korea against the South Koreans' desires a couple years ago because it's destabilizing. The Chinese said, please don't do it, because if you do it, we're going to have to reposition our missiles because we can't allow you to have an anti-ballistic missile capability that close to China. But we put it in there. So it's been a horribly destabilizing weapon that we then use to strong arm the South against North Korea and all this. So a lot of politics attached to this weapon. But all of our THAAD radars have been blown up by the Iranians in the Middle East. We don't have any left. And so we have a bunch of THAAD launchers out there. We have some THAAD missiles left, but we can't use them because we don't have any radars. And so we have gone into South Korea now, and that THAAD system we made them take that they didn't want to take, we're now taking away. And they're like, wait a minute, that we changed everything about our defense posture hinged on the fact that THAAD was here, part of our missile defense shield and all this stuff. And now you're taking it away without even telling us. And we're also taking away the advanced Patriot PAC-3s. And we're taking them for Israel. And the Gulf Arab states are sitting there going, hey, we're over here too. We're the ones who, stood by you all the way with about $2 billion worth of your stuff. And we've run through it all. We need, so the stuff you're taking out of South Korea, you're going to bring to us, right? We get those missiles? Nope, straight to Israel. So we're betraying our South Korean allies. We're betraying our Japanese allies. We're betraying our Taiwanese allies because we've convinced Taiwan that we have a ballistic missile shield to protect them for everything. And we're betraying our Gulf Arab allies, all for Israel. And Israel, of course, had a whole bunch of these missiles, fired them, didn't shoot anything down. We're giving them missiles now that don't work against the missiles the Iranians have. This just shows how dysfunctional we are. It comes down to...
And this man is very dysfunctional, man. Okay, Esau Edom is all over the place, man. Okay, and his bluff has been called. Okay, because he's been beaten in chest for a long time. Okay, but now he's been called out. All right, somebody pulled their card. They can deal with it. Okay, and it's been shown on the world stage, and then the ripple effect these nations are seeing, like, okay, we got these deals with you. First, we didn't want, okay, because South Korea didn't want it because that would, cause North Korea to posture, okay, against South Korea. Like, okay, what y'all doing? Y'all moving equipment over there, like what y'all, and then they'll play the part in Kim Jong-un, okay, the North Korean, okay, dictator to get the nuke. Okay, America doing these war games, like a mock invasion of North Korea. So Kim Jong-un said, nigga, I'm gonna get a nuke, nigga. I'm gonna nuke y'all niggas, man. Y'all niggas, I ain't finna go back and forth with y'all niggas, man. Okay, you in America play them dumbass games, I'm gonna just nuke you niggas, man. Okay. And you see they don't play with Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Okay. Well, see, if you're a nation that don't got the nuke, see, America is like niggas. So you showing everybody that, nigga, the only way to deter you is to have the nuke. Okay. And this is why all these nukes are gonna come to America. Like, nigga, that's the only way it's gonna make you sit your ass down somewhere. These nations are looking like, look, man, this nigga, look at all this chaos. These niggas in the small hats are the problem. Okay? And they're coming to the conclusion the only way to make this nigga sit his ass down somewhere, you got to nuke this nigga, man. That's going to be the play.
Again, why I have spent a lifetime saying that there's no such thing as missile defense. It's a joke. It's a giant grift. It's a scam. We spend billions of dollars on these things only to find out that they just don't work in the face of a modern ballistic missile threat. The Iranians have shown that THAAD doesn't work, PAC-3 doesn't work, Aegis doesn't work. The Russians will show that anything we build doesn't work. Same thing with the Chinese and the North Koreans. But this is an act of betrayal. This system, again, the South Koreans built a defense concept around the system, and now we've taken it away from the South Koreans without even asking their permission. We're just doing it.
And so what is the danger to South Korea? Is there really a threat from North Korea? Oh, was that why they had those missile defenses in the first place? Or what do you think is the downside?
Well, the United States and the South Koreans used to run an exercise every year. We still do it. But the way the exercise kicked off, or maybe even ended, was that we'd get all of our aircraft and the South Korean aircraft, and we'd fly straight to the North Korean border. Pyongyang, just right over the border. That's where the leadership is. And we come screaming in. And at the last second, we break off. Now, from the North Korean perspective, if we go across the border, we're going to be over Pyongyang dropping bombs in a matter of minutes, 5 minutes. And so we're juking them, we're scaring them. putting them on notice that we can decapitate you at a moment's notice. So the North Koreans went, well, why don't we build nuclear armed ballistic missiles and tell the South Koreans that we're going to nuke you if you do this? So they did that. And so now the North Koreans have missiles. Now, they didn't build them to threaten the South. They built them to deter this irresponsible behavior on the part of South Korea and the United States. Now they have that, and the South Koreans are freaking out. Wait a minute, they got missiles. So we bring in THAAD to tell the South Koreans, we will defend you from the North Korean missiles that were built because you and I were playing stupid games, sending aircraft surging to the borders. That's what's going on here. North Korea is not a threat to anybody. North Korea wants to live in peace. The proof is the Russians again. I know I'm going to be accused of being Vladimir Putin's little bitch, but you know, the Russians are the ones that opened up tourism in North Korea. The Russians are the ones that have, you know, they go to North Korea and they ski down on this modern ski lift. They have modern hotels. North Korea can function properly if we just give them a chance. We're the ones that have isolated them.
America is the problem of the earth, man. You Edomites are the problem of the earth. Okay? And these nations arm themselves because of you. They got these nukes because of you. Okay? Because you the only people that has nuked the civilization. You have nuked civilians. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you nuke civilians. Okay? And then it was days between Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, nigga, you had time to you know, to digest what you did, to process what you did, and because you still didn't get the results, because Japan, all right, didn't give a you know, a full surrender, an unconditional surrender on your terms, you came back and dropped another one. Okay, so who's the savage? Who's the wild man? Who's the maniac of the earth? Okay, so Esau, what he's done. See, what we're seeing is the world respond to what this nigga do, but he turns the camera on and makes it seem like everyone is just ready to just destroy America for nothing. Everybody's a threat to America in the small hats. Everybody's just trying to, you know, everyone's jealous of America in the small hats. You know, they're getting these bombs, they're getting these nukes. They want to take the world over. They want to take the Middle East over. They want to take this over. They threat to South Korea. Okay, but no, North Korea just never bent the knee. Okay, North Korea, Iran, and they work tight together. Russia in the mix, they working tight together. These kings of the East, man. Okay, these are the kings of the East, man, and they getting ready to come west, man. Okay, and you small hats and you Americans are done. Okay, all their pride is gonna be done. Okay, and then Yahweh Shai, all right, we have to continue to say he's coming to clear out everything. Okay, he's gonna be the finalizer of everything, man. You see, but you Edomites are the problem of the world. Okay, matter of fact, what's if a brother can get that, I'm gonna get this real quick. If a brother can get that too in Revelation, I believe it's 6 and 4. Okay, but you go here. All right, this is Jeremiah 49 and 16. This is Brother Warriors of Yahushua. It says, you have been deceived by the fear you inspire in others, and by your own pride, you live in a rock fortress and control the mountain heights. But even if you make your nest, okay, among the peaks, okay, it says, the peaks with the eagles, I will bring you crashing down, says the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, so this devil has been deceived by the fear that he's been able to inspire in others for so long. Okay, to where he began doing a lot of bluffing. And now that we see a lot of this shit that the devil has propped up, all these military bases and all these Navy ports, all this shit was been really a bluff. Okay, and he's gonna go into it. You see, you know, Scott, he's gonna go into it. Scott been on point lately, man. I think they're gonna finally push Scott over the edge with these last all right antics, man. Okay, let's go here. This is GMS Pray Always Hope for Elect. Okay, Blood Brother Kwanwa, Shalom Mott. Revelation 6 and 4. And it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that set their own to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. So this is Esau, man. Okay, he's in his power. His red horse, a horse goes into power. Okay, but this is the nation of Edom in their power. They're sitting on high. They're sitting on top of their power. And what do they do with their power? They take peace from the earth. Okay, they are the problem. The Edomites are the planet Earth's problem, man. Okay, and this is what this devil was assigned to do, to take peace from the earth. Okay, to the point they even kill one another. World War I and World War II were Edomites, okay, fighting over the rulership, fighting over who's going to dominate the rulership. This Third World War, they're going to fight over who's going to dominate the rulership, man. Okay, Esau too treacherous to be unified for too long. Okay, they had these agreements and everybody down for a moment, but then there's all this treachery and ambition, and it turns into a war to where they destroy each other. Okay, and that was given unto him a great sword, man. You know, this man has, you know, took weapons to a whole nother level. And these nations, all they can do is adapt. Okay, all these nations can do is adapt to the war that this nigga be waging, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's go here. Let's play some more of this.
Used to show a map. The CIA used to brag about this, the satellite map where South Korea is all lit up and North Korea is dark. I give it a couple years. You're going to see North Korea lighten up because they're becoming modern. North Korea doesn't want to be isolated. North Korea wants to be part of the international community, but they want to be on their terms. They don't want to be a defeated nation or submissive. We don't know how to deal with people as equals. That's the problem. We have to have people surrender to us, submit to us. And the North Koreans just refuse to surrender and submit.
Okay. Well, okay. So again, so the United States is betraying the Gulf states. They know that we're not there to defend them. Even though we put military bases in their country, we won't even defend or can't even defend our own military bases. But Scott, what was the point then of us putting those military bases in the Gulf states if they're so easily destroyed by Iran?
Well, arrogance and ignorance is a dangerous combination. The arrogance that we are the United States and that people will automatically respect our authority. We're like Cartman rolling in. You must respect our authority. And because we're the United States, most people do. So we can bluff our way into things. We can put bases there and say, don't mess with us. But anybody with any brains would have looked at the Fifth Fleet that's based out of Bahrain and say, that's a flotilla. It's not a fleet. I mean, you really don't have much here. It's all a bluff. And then there's the arrogance part. I mean, the ignorance part. We don't respect our nation's capabilities. We never respected the fact that the Iranians actually have some of the best technology in the world, some of the best electronics. They can do things better than we can do things. So they produce these missiles. And you heard Donald Trump, we're just surprised about the number of Iranian missiles and their capabilities. Well, why, Donald? You shouldn't be surprised. You should have respected the Iranians when they flight tested these missiles and showed you the capabilities. But we kept saying, "Oh, they're Iranians. They're ragheads. These are old crude missiles. These are old Scud technology. Our stuff can shoot them down." And so we got ourselves overextended, and we got in a fight with somebody who's been preparing to fight us for more than 20 years. And all the lies that we said, all the arrogance, all the ignorance has come home to roost. We can't defend the Middle East. We literally can't. That's been proven. And the Iranians have taken us apart piece by piece by piece. I'll say one last thing about the Iranians, too. There are a lot of people out there saying, oh, the United States is hiding the number of dead because we've seen a lot of explosions, and therefore we assume there's to be a lot. The Iranians are not trying to kill Americans. If they were, we'd have much higher death count. The Iranians are dismantling our military infrastructure in the Middle East, $1 billion piece by $1 billion piece by $1 $300 million piece. But they're very smart about this because when the time comes.
And we know that America, all right, is hiding the true numbers. Okay, we know that they're hiding the true numbers. Okay, because there's a lot more casualties from the Americans and the small hats. Okay, but now, because he's going to get into it, he's going to get into it, and he's going to explain some things, but just to note, all right, that they are hiding the numbers. The numbers are, all right, nowhere near, because it's been there 6 since day one. 6 deaths since day one. Okay, like, come on, nigga. But there are a lot, way more casualties and way more injuries than America is reporting in these small hats. Okay, but then he's gonna touch on some things, and then we'll comment as well.
When the economic crisis hits, and it's going to hit, Jimmy, what they don't want is the American people going, yeah, but they killed 500 of our guys. We have to stick this out. So what they're going to get is you're paying through the nose, and they're going to say, well, 9 guys, that's not that bad, is it? 9 guys? I mean, So the Iranians are smarter than anybody. They have every reason to kill us. We murdered their supreme leader. We murdered a lot of their generals in a surprise attack. Again, I just asked people to remember Pearl Harbor. How do we feel about the Japanese after they bombed Pearl Harbor? Well, strong enough to drop 2 nuclear weapons on them. Imagine what the Iranians feel like that. We murdered their big guy, their biggest religious guy, like the Pope. Mm-hmm. And then we murdered 186 children, school kids, little girls, murdered them, straight up murdered. And if this was the shoe return, we'd be screaming for blood. We wouldn't want to kill everybody. Look at the Iranians. Look how smart they are. Look how humane they are. They're not trying to kill Americans. If they were trying to kill Americans, we'd have a lot of dead Americans. They're just trying to dismantle our infrastructure. Same thing with the Israelis. The Israelis every night scream, oh, those cluster munitions, it's genocide. 13 Israelis are dead. Tragic. I'm not diminishing that. But if the Iranians were trying to kill Israelis, there'd be 1,000 dead Israelis. The Iranians aren't trying to kill Israelis. The Iranians are dismantling Israel's critical infrastructure, military facilities. The Iranians are the smartest, most honorable people in this fight right now. The United States and Israel, we're blowing up targets. We don't even know what we're blowing up. Proof is we blew up a school on day 1, killed 186 girls, and we only now admitted it. We don't know what we're bombing. We're just bombing things because AI tells us to bomb it. The Israelis are doing the same thing. And yet we call ourselves, the moral people. We call ourselves the people doing the right thing. We're the criminals. We're the bad guys on this. We started this war. And thank God the Iranians are who they are. I know they shout death to America.
So, what like I say, those casualties of those small hats and those Americans are way higher. And what we have to understand, just going to his point, if Iran wanted to kill tens of thousands, they could. They could be killing tens of thousands of these small hat citizens. Okay, these civilians, they could be killing tens of thousands by the day if that's what they wanted to do. Now they catching bodies, okay, but it's mainly military infrastructure, all right, intelligence infrastructures, radars, all right, missile defense systems, okay, aircrafts, refueling tanks. They're destroying America's and the small hats ability to wage war. See, they're fighting real war. They're not fighting for clickbaits, okay, and optics. They're fighting actual war. Okay, now civilians get caught up in the mix, and they have been going in civilian infrastructure with Tel Aviv. See, with Tel Aviv, they're going more gloves off with Tel Aviv. Okay, with America is mainly destroying America's infrastructure. Okay, and they're getting those American leaders, those different CIA leaders, different military personnel that's hiding in these hotels. They done wipe them out. They done wiped a few of them out. Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu brother, another top demon over there. I forgot his name, something Ger, whatever that nigga name is. They still don't know where Netanyahu at. This nigga dropping AI video with 6 fingers, okay, and 600 teeth. Where this nigga at? So they getting at the leadership, because it starts with the leadership, okay? But if Iran wanted to, okay, they could be killing tens of thousands of civilians a day if they was grimy like America. Okay, but it's gonna get to the point to where the glove's gonna come all the way off, man. Okay, because this thing is gonna escalate. Remember, this is just the beginning. Okay, and the gloves are gonna come all the way off. All right, and then it's just gonna be complete eradicate. You know, the Lord gonna put the spirit of these nations to eradicate these small hats and okay, America, man. Okay, so let's let me see. Let's go here. Let's get this. And we'll end it here. Go to the book of Job, chapter 4, and verse 7. All right, so let's go here to the book of Job, chapter 4, and verse 7. It says, not verse 8, this is the point. It says, even as I seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. Okay, it's time for the devil to reap. Okay, he's sown all this violence in the earth. He's sown all this wickedness in the earth. He's sown all this war, destruction, poverty in the earth. Now it's time for the devil to reap the same. Okay, it's the season. It's the season to reap. Okay, you small hats. Okay, you Americans. You know, and that's the leaders and the citizens alike. All right, when you go here to the book of Jeremiah 50 and 14, it said, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, so all these nations are putting themselves in array, okay, which is in battle formation. Okay, as the world is seeing the true colors of these small hats and these Americans, because when you losing, okay, when things not going your way, you begin to show who you really are. So as the Lord has, all right, these small hats and Americans on the back foot, they're showing what they're really about. It's all about these small hats. It's all about protecting. America exists to protect the small hats. All these security guarantees that America promised these other nations, they seen that it was all bluff, man. Okay, they see when they really get down to it, okay, everything revolves around the small hat, man. And these nations are taking note. Okay, these nations are down with the New World Order. They're taking note of these things. Like, okay, you know, and this is where we're going to see the ultimate treachery is they're going to nuke America and they're going to eradicate these small hats. Okay, the IDF, they're going to get touched with some nukes as well, man, and be out of there. Okay, the only difference is that land of Israel, okay, which they only own a small part of the land that's promised to us. Okay, but the part that they've been on is so defiled and polluted, it has to be cleansed. Okay, and it's going to be cleansed through fire. Okay, it's going to be cleared out through fire, man, in this war. Okay, the chariots as well. You see, verse 15 says, shout against her round about. She have given her hand, her foundations are falling, her walls are thrown down. Yeah, no protection. Okay, like he said, that missile defense is a fraud, man. It don't work, and especially don't work. Okay, when you're being saturated, when you know all these missiles that's coming to America, all these missiles that's gonna come, all right, to the state of Israel, the Israeli state. Okay, it said, for it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai take vengeance upon her, all right, as she have done, America do unto her. Because the only reason these small hats are capable to do what they're doing is because the backing of America, man. Okay, because the cooperation with America, that's the only reason these small hats are even a factor. Okay, so this is the beginning of the Lord's vengeance. Okay, and it's going to lead up to nuclear destruction and the chariots, man. You see, so all the wars and the airstrikes and the bombs that America has dropped in the earth, well, it's going to be paid back. Okay, it's going to be paid back in nuclear destruction. Okay, obliteration. You see, so that's the point. You know, I leave it there, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah. Abba soon. Shalom.